All right, friends, we are going to talk about some color theory stuff today. Now, I know I have a bunch of words here. I'm going to kind of do a little demo and talk about it, and then I'll take a picture of this and add it to our website so you have it to look at. So, I feel like by this point, most of us know our primary colors. So, we have some red, we have some blue, and we have some yellow. And on a color wheel, I usually think about that color wheel kind of being some triangles to start. So if I make my color wheel like this and I put a circle here, here, and here, my primary colors would go inside of those. So my red and my blue and my yellow. Now from there, we draw another triangle and we just make this one upside down so it kind of looks like a star. And in here, I guess I'm going to make these long rectangles. This is where our secondary colors live. And so if we think about red and blue, those two colors mix to make purple, violet, and then red and yellow mix to make orange, and blue and yellow mix to make green. So those are our secondary colors, green and some orange and some purple. And when you get older, or why not, we'll talk about it. If these two colors mix together, we get what we call a tertiary or an intermediate color, and that would be like our red oranges. Like, so if you think of like scarlet, if we have yellow and orange mixing together, we get a yellow orange. So think about like the color of like not pumpkins, like the sunset when it's like that between that yellow and the orange. It's kind of like that yellowy orange color. In this one here, we have yellow and green. If our yellow and green mix together, I actually have that color. So it'd be kind of lime colored looking. Our green and our blues would give us almost kind of like a turquoise kind of color. Our blues and our purples would give us a blue violet. So think of like that midnight sky or blue purple. And then our red and our purple, if those mix, that would give us like a red violet. So again, those sunset colors. So we've talked before about the warm and the cool colors. So if I were to kind of draw a line and look at the reds and the oranges and the yellows, those would be all of my warm colors. So the yellows and the oranges and the reds. And actually, like purple can kind of come over here too, because you can have that red violet. If you think about those sunsets or the colors you see when you look at a fire, those are our warm colors. And then on the other side of the color wheel, we have our cool. So if you think about like walking in a green meadow or ice or snow, if you think about when you look outside at the snow and sometimes it looks kind of blue, those are our cool colors. So those blues and the purples and the greens. And then yellow can go over here too. So purple can kind of go back and forth between warm and cool, and so can yellow. It just depends on what they're with. So if yellow's with the cool colors, then it's cool yellow. But if yellow's with the other warm colors, then it's a warm yellow. So it just depends. Now, if you're second graders, this should sound familiar, but we've talked about complementary colors. Complementary colors are the colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. So red is across from green, blue is across from orange, and purple is across from yellow. So the way I like to think about it is it's the primary color with the color that's across from it. But like if you think about it, you don't use red to make green, but you do use blue and yellow. So it's the color across from it, but it's like the color that you make without using that primary color. That helps. If you have crayons at home, it might help you to kind of make your own and kind of pause and go along with me. Okay, so now we're getting into some stuff that's a little bit trickier. So, maybe watch some of this and play with these colors and then watch some more of it. So analogous colors are colors that are neighbors on the color wheel. So wherever you decide to start, like say I decided to start like right here at red, colors that are neighbors. So I could go this way or I could go this way, or I I know that these are warm, but if I'm pulling into those blues and say I want to go with blue, blue, purple, red, and red, orange, that would be my analogous color scheme. So as long as they're kind of living next door to each other on the color wheel, that could be your color scheme that you use. So I'm just going to use one example, but you could use other examples. Let me find like a red, orange. And then I need like a bluish violet. Purple. Ooh, and a red violet. Which I'm not seeing, so I'm going to make it. So that could be my analogous color scheme. Triadic, remember how we made those triangles? Triadic means that you're using colors that make a triangle. So if you were to use all of your primary colors together, that would be one triadic color scheme. And if you used all of your secondary colors, that could be another triadic color scheme. So however, if you make a triangle, then you're using a triadic color scheme. But I'm going to put these together, so hopefully it makes sense when you look at it. So secondary colors or primary. Okay. Values we've talked a lot about. The values, like if you think about getting out your crayons, and I grabbed green because we're Northfield in Nordonia. But if you think about your greens, there's all kinds of different shades and values of green. And you could make them by adding black and white if we were mixing with paint or if we were mixing with color. But when you look in your crayon box, I bet you have different values and different shades of one color. So value means the lightness or the darkness of a color. So they're all greens, but they're different values. I know this is a long video. Almost done. Okay. And you could also make these. I guess you don't have to have paint. Like I'm adding white to make that color lighter. And if I added a black, I don't know if this is black. If I added black, I can make those colors darker. And last thing we're going to talk about color today is something called intensity. And intensity has to do with how bright a color is. So I'm going to use some of this green here. So here's just the green by itself, okay? Now if I want to bring it down so it's not so intense, so it's not so bright, I'm going to add the color that's across from it. So I'm going to add its complement. So I'm going to take some red and go on top of it. And see how it almost kind of makes like a little bit of a brown, but it brings that color down. So I think the green might be a hard example. So let's look at some yellow. So think about like when you draw a picture of yourself, if you're making yourself blonde and you're using that yellow, but your hair's not really yellow. So that means that you want to bring down the intensity so it's not so bright. So if we look at our color wheel, what's across from yellow? Purple. So I'm going to take my purple, and I'm going to add it on top of this, and see how it's still yellow, but it's calming down the intensity. So it's making it not as bright. So if you are blonde and you were trying to color your hair blonde and you don't see a blonde crayon, you could use yellow and then you could use its complement purple and tone it down a notch. So you take some of that brightness and the intensity away and calm the color down. So I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to post it on the website so you can use it moving forward in our art stuff. Okay, hope you had fun.